I wasn't going to do one. I said I wasn't going to do one, but screw it. Here we are. Yeah. Second leadership debate. Jesus Christ. I can't even tell you which one was worse, the first or the second one. Yeah, horrific, to be honest. And I think we're settling down to, a lot of people have said, it's going to be the Liz, and it's going to be the summer of Liz and Rishi. You know, trying to knock 7 bells out of each other. But that's what they're going for. Unfortunately, it's going to end up exactly as we've predicted for quite some time. So it is going to be Liz and Rishi Sunak literally, you know, knocking against each other for the summer. That's not what I don't even know. Yeah, it's the heat already. Yeah, I can tell you now, it's going to be warmest day, record-breaking temperature day today. I'll tell you what, it's already absolutely boiling. It's already getting to me already. Oh. Ooh. But yeah, so that second leadership debate, wow. Which one was better, the first or the second one? Unfortunately, you really can't say. Both are going to be absolute. Both were unfortunate pictures of what we have to come. I mean, I said it last time we covered the first debate. Rishi Sunak was very, very clearly showing off his chancellery experience. And that's certainly sort of coming in advantage for him. Because one of the big, obviously, questions last night was, you know, what about your leadership credentials? Now, of course, they all... David, another good morning walk. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't really call this a good morning walk. I'd say this is more I'd say this is certainly probably a, oh my words. We're probably going to end up with Liz Truss Prime Minister. Because I can tell you exactly how this is going to go and how this is exactly going to play out. So today, in fact, we'll take you through what I think is going to be the state of play. So there's going to be another vote today. There's going to be absolutely another vote today, and I think Tom Tugendhat is probably going to get dropped out. It was very obvious from his debate performance last night. I think he was hoping his Friday debate might save him, but I think that his team have probably not been able to secure any more extra MPs to at least try and re-secure a lead over Kimi Badnoch. So she will officially, that will be the 4. So Tom Tugendhat's going to drop out. There's going to be another debate tonight. And I'll tell you this now, Penny Mordaunt sort of quite shocked me. The fact that you have this person who really wants to be PM. And to be honest, the first debate, you can go, well, she just didn't do well. But the fact that she's now had like 2 of these live television debates, and don't get me wrong, the only person so far that has performed well, and I say well, in massive like, with caveats, shall we say, that Rishi Sunak performed well, because he even didn't do too well. And I think I've said before in the past, you know, I've been in a lot of like debate competitions and public speaking competitions, so I can see a good public speaker or a good debater, you know, when I see him. And it was very, very clear last night that every single one of them, and this includes the first debate as well, every single one of them has lines memorized, has the stuff that they're going to say, and you can see them going on this sheet. And the thing is, you would think if you were an opposition member, if you were Tom Tugendhat, that gives you almost an automatic advantage, because if you know what they're going to say, you can come back with a quip or something that can really easily take them on. And even when we've had sort of little, you know, fights break out during these debates, certainly we saw Liz and Rishi go at each other. In fact, Sunak accused Liz of engaging in socialism, you know, when doing these tax cuts. And I'm like, that's not what a socialist would do, but okay. I'm sure Jeremy Corbyn's name got invoked as well. So I'm sure he'll have a tweet, if not yet last night, from today as well about the comment made about him. But yeah, it's going to be what you've seen so far on these 2 debates. It's going to be it's going to be the summer of Liz and Rishi. So back to my predictions, because I'm getting distracted now. So yeah, so how's this going to happen? Well, first of all, obviously we're going to have a vote today, another debate, which will be followed by, I think, there's going to be another vote on Tuesday and Wednesday, I think. Can't 100% confirmed it, but by Wednesday, we will know who the final 2 are. And unless the candidates, which I think is going to happen, unless the candidates not decide to back Liz Truss, they decide to either go and back Mordaunt or Badenoch. But again, given their poor performances in these debates, I think it's very, very obvious MPs are going to now start switching and jumping ship over from the Mordaunt and Badenoch campaigns over to Liz Truss. Because it's very, very obvious, especially last night, that their Badenoch and Mordaunt's inexperience, and certainly Tom Tugendhat's, are proving to be a massive, massive disadvantage for them. Mordaunt, again, has been under attack all weekend in the papers. It's very, very obvious sort of that even the right-wing press do not want Penny Mordaunt in control. So it's, yeah. So what's going to happen is by Wednesday, we'll probably get confirmation that it's going to be Liz versus Rishi. And then, of course, we're going to get the summer hustings. There's going to be about 12 different ones. And here's the thing, to be honest, if you've seen the polls, if you've been reading the polls, then you know the Conservative membership doesn't want Rishi Sunak. They consider him, first of all, a lot of them consider him not to be a Conservative due to his furlough scheme. And then he's also very, very much got his Boris association. You know, he was Boris's number 2. Oh, Pretty Bird, greetings to you. So he has that Boris association. And by the looks of it, that is going to damage a lot of his credibility. So and like I say, the polls have been clear for quite some time now. You know, if it comes down to that, if it comes down to the Liz and Rishi summer spectacular, to call it that, which I think a lot of us have been very, very much predicting. Then Liz is going to win. You know, because why is she going to win? Well, she is ridiculously popular among the party membership. And even in these straight head-to-head votes, she wins. So unless Rishi Sunak over the summer can convince Conservative members that he's the guy to run, Liz Truss is going to win it. And then, oh my word, yeah, we've got Liz Truss as Prime Minister. Good Lord. Good lordy, lordy, lord. If you thought Boris was bad, Liz Truss is going to be bad on a whole different level. A whole different level. Her speeches that she gives are hardly, shall we say, the stuff of inspiration. She's obviously going to continue her bizarre Margaret Thatcher cosplaying efforts, which in themselves are quite bizarre. Who will be Truss's puppet master? Well, it's going to be the ERG. The ERG are pretty much going to be in control now. And, you know, this is what I've been saying for the past couple of live streams. Liz Truss will be their woman at the helm. And she will appoint ERG members. So the Tory party is going to slip even more into this right-wing, this fundamentalist, right-wing libertarian free market zealotry that many of the ERG members are very happy to display. And like I say, we should be extremely worried by that. Because with the majority that the Tories have, they are going to sort of force through so much bad stuff. It's going to be absolutely... you know... yeah. Because here's even the worst thing, because let's say Liz Truss gets appointed like early September. We've been saying this for months now. We know when the cost of living crisis is going to really hit. We know that it's going to be combined with all these energy bills. We know it's going to combine with so many other crises that it's going to absolutely just explode all over the Conservative Party, and they've got no serious ideas to solve it. it was very evident last night, as I said in my little message on YouTube. Not one person on that stage is taking the cost of living crisis seriously or with the urgency that it needs to be solved. Because they come in September, and by sort of the end of October, November, the cost of living crisis is going to just absolutely explode. There is not one thing that they are suggesting that is going to help people. The plans that are already in place to help people are just not enough. The idea for like tax cuts and all these other things that they're producing, well, they're not going to help people. They're not going to help the people who need help the most, which are going to be sort of, the working class, middle class in this country. Everything that they are suggesting is heavily tilted towards sort of the well and better off in this country. And most of these things that they are suggesting, these type of economic plans, it's going to be far too slow when stuff will need to happen almost instantly. In fact, there was an economist, I can't even say it right. Heat's already getting to me. That I was sort of following on the ITV debate Twitter follow along. And he basically laid it out. Look, if the new PM doesn't do anything by the end of the first week in their job to seriously help the cost of living crisis, then people are going to die. Because you're going to get a ton of people, can't pay for their fuel bills. This is going to lead to a huge explosion in fuel poverty, as well as food poverty. All this stuff is going to come together, and it is going to just explode in November. And then what's going to happen? At that point, the government will be forced to act, just like they were during the pandemic. They really didn't want, to have to do anything during the pandemic. They wanted people to, look after themselves during the pandemic, which wasn't really going to happen, and would have been even worse during the pandemic if they just decided to go with that. But they were forced to act. And when that happens, you're going to see their poll numbers plummet. You are going to see the discontent, the wrath of the disappointed, as we've dubbed it. You are going to see the other Tory candidates start, sticking their oar in, said, oh, well, if you'd only elected me, we could do this differently. Good morning, walk number 3. Must be a lucky night. Well, good morning, Mitch. So we're just going over the leadership debate tonight. Well, that happened last night, shall we say. It's going to just absolutely implode on them. They're going to be stirring up dissent, and then questions are going to be asked of, did we make the right choice? And the thing is, history says, when you look back at Ian Duncan Smith, he was a man who got through to the final 3, wasn't the ones who were the MPs were backing at that time. They were backing Ken Clarke. And instead, the membership rejected Ken Clarke, just as they are going to reject Rishi Sunak. So there is going to be a lot of disconnect between, the parliamentary party and the non-parliamentary party. Liz is not going to have the support of them. Well, she's going to have certainly the support of the ERG. But then again, we've seen just how quickly the ERG can turn on their own and how capable they are of that. So there's that to look at. And then I think potentially by that, you're going to have those sort of questions asked. Did we choose the right one? Did we choose the right candidate? Have we done the right thing? And then there is going to be another leadership election, or at least another vote of no confidence in Liz Truss. And make no mistake, the Red Wall Tories during that time are going to get an absolute deluge of letters. This is why I've said, if you've got sort of a newly minted Conservative MP in your area, write to them, constantly complain to them, tell them about, your troubles, that they're not doing enough, that your leaders not doing enough to sort of help the cost of living crisis in your area. They're going to start sounding the alarm bells in the Red Wall. Down south, you're going to get huge amounts of traditionally classical upset Tories who aren't happy with the direction, or at least the far right direction, the party is going in. They're going to be very, very unhappy with the dropped environmental pledges. They're going to be very, very unhappy that, Britain isn't proceeding to hold all its pledges that it signed up to with the Brexit agreement. And that's it, and then possibly by early next year, say around February, March time, I expect there will be a vote of no confidence. I really do. Might even be earlier, depending how bad things are. But yeah, expect a vote of no confidence. The Tory party will descend once again into chaos. And yeah, maybe we'll really start to see some serious, although I doubt to say, quote, serious candidates, but, we'll have to see. But that's the key thing. Not one of them was really talking about the solution to what is going to happen, the cost of living crisis. And when that hits, it is going to explode like a bomb, and it is going to destroy the Tory party, because you have seen in both debates the fractions that we've been talking about on this channel for months, years, for at least the past two. Then that Boris was the only one capable of being the wallpaper to cover over those cracks. Liz Truss is not going to be capable. Rishi Sunak is not going to be capable if he gets chosen. Not one of those candidates is capable of doing that. And it is going to be civil war. And it's already started. You've seen this, you've seen the acrimony build up between these different factions, between the different groups. It's already there. Was already there to begin with. It's just that the departure of Boris, as we always said, would light a massive fire underneath these burning issues already. And Yeah. So effectively, we are in for a party that is going to be absolute chaos. Absolute chaos. And this is obviously going to be a massive benefit to us, because at that point, Labour will be... Oh, hang on. Labour will be in a prime position. It'll be in a prime position to start putting forward, serious ideas, serious plans, which is where Labour are at the moment. They want to start putting that forward. Keir Starmer said they want to start... There we go. Starmer said he wants to start putting forward plans, which he really seriously needs to do at this point. I've said before, continuously, need to put out a manifesto. I've got something in the shoe. There we go. So yeah, we're going to end up with Liz Truss as Prime Minister, unfortunately. And yeah, Starmer's plan was to drop his promises. Well, the thing is, he can't drop them all, because even Tony Blair has said to him, you need the left to win. So yeah, Starmer has sort of moved the party back from being a more sort of left party to be more sort of left central. And again, I agree with you. I'm not happy with that. But unfortunately, as we've said many times, this is what Starmer needs to do to win. You have a situation in this country where we've first past the post. You look at whenever this polls have done is, what are you? Are you on the right wing? Are you on the left wing? Are you a centrist? And I know on the internet, being like a centrist is like a meme, but in the UK, it's really not. And this is what happened under Jeremy Corbyn. A lot of those people of left, like centre left and centrists who they needed to win, deserted them. They went to either A, vote to the Conservatives because they didn't want a socialist winning, which should tell the left what they really need to do next time, that you cannot run as an open socialist. Sure, you can do some socialist things, but you cannot run as an open socialist. And Starmer is doing the right thing. The Labour Party needs to be a broad church coalition. It needs to have the left, those left of centre, and those in the centre as well. Why? Because every time this vote is carried out, you have 25% who identify as right, you have 25% who identify on the left, and then in the centre, you have a massive, depending on which poll you read, 30 to 35% who identify as centrists. You cannot win a general election in this country on the system of first past the post if you do not have a broad church party. That is it. Starmer is not trying to win. Well, I disagree. I disagree. Have you been paying attention to like the stuff Starmer's been, actually been saying, or have you been listening to people who complain about Starmer? Because this is it. Rachel Reeves, his shadow chancellor, if she gets in, if Labour gets in, then she will be the greenest chancellor the UK has ever had. Building a green economy. Like, as someone who's definitely on the left and sort of complaining about Starmer, you must be for that, surely. Surely you've got to be for that. You've got Ed Miliband, who's the shadow business secretary, who wants to expand union powers. He wants to give unions more power. You know, and this is it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people on the left who don't actually listen to what Labour is saying for, I don't know, maybe they just feel disappointed, or maybe they're not interested in politics as they claim to be, but they just like to have a good gripe against the Labour Party. So that's the situation. We've, you know, and then you can, you know, I liked Corbyn, but I didn't like him completely. I think in 2019, you're in the Labour Party, good. Good, so am I. Like I say, this is what we need to do. We need to be pushing for the Labour Party to do progressive ideas. You know, because we know that they're popular. We know that when they're put to the public, they're really popular, these progressive ideas. And Labour cannot afford to just tinker around the edges. They've got to be bold, and they've got to get in there. They're not got to be afraid to get their hands dirty to do some of this stuff. And that's the situation where we are at the moment. Yep, David, you're right. Go far left, and it would mean a Tory government forever. Because I've said before, I've got a friend over in Manchester, and I remember one of his tweets very recently saying this. He said, because of all the stuff that's gone on in the, you know, Conservative Party, he's never going to vote for them again. The only way, he said, he would ever vote for the Conservatives again was to stop a socialist getting in power. You know? That says it all. And at the moment, if you really, really want to make a serious change in this country, this is what I said. Everyone who is really disappointed in sort of Labour, there's two things you need to do. First of all, join the Labour Party. Because then what you can do, you can put in or vote for MPs in your area that are going to be sort of more progressive, you know, more left wing. That's what you need. The second thing is you need to start pushing for PR, proportional representation. Once you've got proportional representation through, that will bring in a massive change to the country, because it will permanently keep the Tories out of power forever. So their slide what's this? There are currently 2 Green MPs in Canadian Parliament, and that's with first past the post. We'd have more with PR. Yeah. Pretty much. Starmer couldn't promise to join the SM and CU because of how much divergence of the standards and bridges that need to be repaired. It's not impossible for him to rejoin it. I mean, yeah, he certainly used to do a lot of bridge rebuilding, but we also sort of need to start seriously undermining Brexit. We need to do, ironically, we need to do exactly what the Eurosceptics over here did. Just start pointing out like how bad Brexit is, how bad it's going, how bad it's affecting all the industries. And the thing is, versus obviously the Euroscepticism, we're telling the truth. We've got datas and numbers and actual physical like locations and proper examples of how Brexit is screwing up the country. And that's already happening. You're seeing a reversal of Brexit already in sort of the opinion polls. But we're not there yet, but we need to keep up and at it. And like I say, divergence, we haven't diverged yet. Yes, there are plans to, but every time they've seemed to try to go for them, they've dropped them almost immediately. And even then, if we were to rejoin the Single Market and Customs Union, it would be very simple just to do as we did, back in the day when we joined the Single Market Customs Union and we had to perform a whole series of alignments. Just pass a bill, call it the Single Market and Customs Union Bill like it was back in the day, and just say, look, we're going to be following all these European and EU standards from now on. You've got a year to align to them, guys. Go at it. That's how easy it would be. This thing about, it would be really hard to realign. It's not hard at all. We've done it before. We've done it before with one bill. One bill and a year to prepare. That's all they needed. And that was with a UK that was far, far, far more diverged from European standards than we are today. So it's possible. It's really doable. But yeah, a lot of people are going to realise that sort of Brexit is not working, that it hasn't fulfilled, and that's the key thing. We need to keep up the momentum of Brexit hasn't fulfilled its promises. These people who pushed Brexit are pushing for things that was not put forward at the referendum. We need to tell people about what divergence actually really means for companies and businesses here in the UK. And we just need to start ringing alarm bells and just start warning people. And trust me, it's already happening with the polls. People are starting to turn against Brexit. It's going, what we said a lot would happen back when it first happened. It's going to go like the Iraq War. When the Iraq War was first proposed, there was a poll done, and according to that poll, you should have been able to walk out in front of any town, any city, and being able to find someone just like that who was in favour of the Iraq War. Now, impossible. and that happened about 5 or 6 years after the Iraq War. And yet, where are we now? We're 5 or 6 years after the official Brexit vote. We are, 3 years since officially leaving the EU properly? I think it is. Is it 3 years? So we left in 2020. No, 2 years. Yeah, 2 years since properly officially leaving the EU, being outside of the Single Market and Customs Union. You've got the fantastic example to really start throwing in Brexiteers' faces, which is who we really need to start sort of throwing this in, of the fact that you've got Northern Ireland, who is still in the Single Market and Customs Union, and yet businesses in Northern Ireland, and in fact the entire region of Northern Ireland, is performing far better economically than any other area outside of London, of course. And why is that? Because they're in the Single Market Customs Union. And they've got no answer for that. They have no comeback for that. And they'll say, oh, it's not true, Northern Ireland businesses are bad, but you just go, no, the data says they are the best performing economic region. Businesses, whatever sector, if they're in Northern Ireland, are performing better than their sort of rest of their UK counterparts. And that's what we need to start properly doing. Just shouting about this constantly, 24/7, just as the Eurosceptics did about being in the EU. The only difference is we have all this evidence, with all this truth going on our side, and they're not going to be able to snap back against it. And one of the best things you can do at the moment, which will be fantastic to bring up, is you can say that Brexit has increased food prices by 6%. You want to reduce the cost of living crisis? Well, rejoining the single market and customs union is going to lower our food prices by about 6%. No? And there's going to be so many more of these examples come forward. So many more. And the flood, the trickle will become a flood. The flood will become a tsunami. And that'll be it. And that's how it will be done. And that's how we'll end up back in the EU. Brexiteers don't understand long words or geography. No, you see, you're doing it wrong. You do never ever call Brexiteers stupid, because the second you do that, they close down. Right? If you present Brexiteers with serious, actual evidence of the harm Brexit is doing, it's far more effective than just calling them stupid or that you don't understand, because it's not just Brexit, it's anything like that. If you start trying to change someone's mind by calling them stupid or something like that, they close down. And that's what we need to learn. We've got to really resist going after them. And the thing is, it's not the Brexit supporters we need to go after. It's the Brexiteers. That's Nigel Farage, all these other people think. They're the Brexiteers. They're the ones who we need to go after. Not calling them them. Yeah, John, you are right. That was one of the big things. And that's why Sunak's going to lose the leadership election, because the membership don't want to hear that. You are right. So that's it. We go after like Daniel Hannan. We go after all these people, and we point out the promises that have been broken, how bad economically it has been, and that's how we do it. That's how we do it. And don't underestimate that people don't understand, economics or anything like that. It just means we've got to explain it to people in a lot more simpler way. And that's how it is. It's a marketing problem. And I work in marketing, and I've come across this problem so many times of businesses having like really convoluted ideas of like trying to explain what they do to like a potential customer. And I've always said, if you want to get someone like that, don't be complicated. when you first meet them, give it to them as simple as possible. Train them up, big job. Yeah, it is. It is. And we can't be scared of that. Because if you are scared of that, then you might as well not be, in politics or anything like that at all, because all these things, all our problems are big jobs. They need big solutions, and we need to explain to the public, this is why what we're going to do. And this was, again, a problem with Corbyn. He'd come out with these policies, which were good. I'll give you the best one, the free broadband one. The free broadband one got taken as such a joke. It got taken as such an absolute complete joke. But what it should have been explained as, not only just as an economic benefit, because you've got South Korea to point out to, with their sort of nationalized broadband system, but you will also explain it as an education benefit. And that's how it should have really been sold, but it wasn't sold like that. And that's why it got taken to be such a joke. And unfortunately, that joke sort of spread to the rest of the manifesto. And then a lot of people just discounted even reading that Labour manifesto because of that pledge. So yeah, don't underestimate the, trying to explain something. And don't get me wrong, there are some really complicated ideas out there which are really hard to explain. We saw that at the referendum. Trying to explain staying in the EU was actually really quite hard. And that's where we got sort of knocked out. And I always said one of the best things that the Remain campaign could have done would have been a picture of a passport queue with the Brits being clearly labelled on one side and then the EU lane being completely clear with someone just, speeding through. That would have been a hugely, hugely successful, because what are we seeing now? Brits stuck in lines at airports, being angry about the fact that they're stuck in airports, while they're seeing their people from Ireland, Northern Ireland indeed, now the rest of Europe just sailing past them while they're stuck in a line. And trust me, that is having a big effect. That is having a very big effect. Right, so then, thank you very much for joining me on today's sort of post-debate breakdown. Like I say, summing up, it's settling into what we always thought it would be, which would be a Liz and Rishi showdown. Liz Truss has the massive backing of the membership, so unless something really bad happens, it's probably going to be Liz Truss who wins it. She's unfortunately going to be our next Prime Minister, and heaven help us all, because oh my word. But probably, as I've said, probably not Prime Minister for too long. Probably not Prime Minister for too long. November, the cost of living crisis is just going to blow up in her face. And she will not have done, because not one of them have any serious ideas tackling it with the sense of urgency it requires, or have any proper economic planning to actually solve the cost of living crisis. So, Liz Truss is going to be bad in many different ways compared to Boris. She's not going to be Boris Johnson, but she's going to be bad in so many different ways compared to Boris Johnson. But yeah, Bad times ahead, people. Very bad times ahead. So with that, thank you very much for watching. Like I say, please do hit that like and share button on your way out. And of course, down below, there's a link to my Patreon page. And of course, the Buy Me a Coffee link as well, where you can, well, buy me a coffee. Stay cool today, people, because it's already roasting. I can feel it already. But of course, I've been walking, so I'm probably getting a bit more of it than I normally would. But yeah, it's going to be absolutely boiling today, so make sure you stay cool. Keep some water with you. Try and avoid being out between, I think it's 12 and 3 from what the Met Office have recommended. That's when it's going to be at its hottest. And yeah, we'll see you. We'll see you on Wednesday for the live stream on Wednesday. Probably that's when we'll be down to the final 2. And yeah, it's probably going to be Liz and Rishi. And then Liz is probably going to win. Yeah. But yes, have a great day. Watch out for more videos we've got coming out this week, and we'll see you all very soon.